Oh. Hello, everybody. We are back with Journey of Self, and today I have the beautiful Charissa Woodward here today. She has a business called Grace to Organize, and we have been chatting, and she just has a wonderful story of kind of how it happened that she came about with this business, and she's going to have she's going to share with us today and maybe give us a few tips too, because I don't know about you, but I can always use more tips on how to organize my space. Hi, Charissa. How are you?
I'm awesome. Really excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here today. So, we were talking earlier, and you said the most amazing thing. I wrote it down, and I'm going to share this quote with the world because I think that everybody needs to hear this. You've been hoarding your gift. Tell me what happened to you that made you realize that and what that realization brought to you.
Wow, that one thought that I had, this is probably about 3.5 years ago, completely changed the direction of my life. So I had a mentor at this time, and I was having this kind of crisis of identity. Like, who am I? What am I doing in this world? What do I need to be doing? And my mentor said, hey, make a Facebook page for anything you're good at. So I made a Facebook page for childcare and one for organizing. And I had a woman contact me that's known me for 15 years. She didn't even know I knew how to organize. She hired me. I went to her house. I helped her organize. And I'm leaving her house. I have an hour drive all the way home. And the whole way I'm just thinking like, oh my gosh, this is what I was created for. And that's when I had this thought, you've been hoarding your gift, which as an organizer is an ironic term to hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not a hoarder. What are you talking about? Well, you've been hoarding your gift for organizing. And in that moment, I realized, yes. And at the same time, I felt a challenge in it. Like, are you going to take what you've been given and go share it with the world? Or are you going to just keep it to yourself for the rest of your life? I reflected on it, and I've kept my space organized my whole life. I love it. In jobs that I had, I would organize things just because it's something I love doing and it would just flow out of me. And my bosses loved it. But I never stepped outside of those two things and said, hey, I'm going to go help somebody who needs me. And to be honest, too, I didn't really notice that a lot of people needed help organizing. I kind of took for granted my gift, and I just assumed other people knew how to organize or they could figure it out. Well, I was wrong. People need help with that. So anyway, that is what changed the whole direction of my life. Like I said, from there, I was like, well, I guess I'm starting a business. I never knew in my whole life I would be a business owner, but I guess I'm doing it. So I did. And that was about almost 3 years ago in September. So I'm excited about it.
Would you say that there are some limiting beliefs maybe that you even held before that moment that got you there? Because I find that as women, we really hold on to all of the shoulds that everybody tells us. You should do this and this and this and this and this. And then we have these limiting beliefs that we don't even realize our own greatness and the gifts that we have because of those.
Mhm.
Did you have some of those?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, I kind of alluded to this earlier when we were chatting, but it took me probably at least 1.5 to 2 years after starting my business to start to believe that the service I was offering was valuable to people.
Mm.
I mean, and it was reflected it was reflected in the way I carried myself at my consultations. It was reflected in the price that I was charging. It was reflected in when people asked me, what do you do? And I would timidly say like, oh, I'm an organizer, and I
Mhm.
elaborate. I wouldn't share anything of what that was. I was scared to say things like, I help people. I thought I was being prideful in saying like, people need me. People need my service. And I can say that now. And even a small part of me is like, are you sure you can say that without sounding prideful? But when you hear it over and over and over again, like, wow, I couldn't have done this without you, or you've been such a blessing, or I'm grateful for you, you start to actually believe it. And you're like, wait a minute, like, I notice a pattern here. people
Right.
like me, they like my service, they're willing to pay for it, and I need to start to believe that. And like I said, it took about 2 years for me to start to receive that, and I still am growing in that a little bit, but that was probably the biggest thing I had to overcome, for sure.
It is hard to say, look at me, here I am, I
Yeah.
am good at this, and I can help you be good at it too.
It is hard, yeah.
It is really hard because um, no matter how good you are and how sweet and genuine you are, there are people who are going to say, well, how dare you boast?
Mm,
You know, how dare you boast? And I think that that's partially part of being a woman
mm,
is, you know, society shoulds on us and
mm,
says, you should do this and you should do this and you should be quiet about it
mm,
because that's just normal for you. It's what you should do.
mm,
I find that um, it's more apt for a man to say, "Here I am, let me do this for you," than it is for a woman.
mm,
And I think we as women are our own worst enemies as far as saying, "Well, how dare you?"
mm,
And that's where I think a lot of those limiting beliefs come from. Um, you know, as you earlier you said that you had a lot of support.
mhm.
Was your family like really supportive of this when you decided that instead of college you were going to do this? How did they feel about that?
Um, Honestly, my family didn't have too much to say about it. And, I had maybe one or two people kind of be like, are you sure that's like a good move for you? More people like in the professional realm. But to be fair, I honestly think people doubted me because I doubted myself so much. They
Yeah.
were just seeing reflected my own insecurity, and they were like, I don't know how that's going to work for you. But what they didn't realize and what I didn't realize that was by starting my business and stepping out, that's how I was going to grow away from those things.
Yes.
That was actually how I broke off that insecurity. So I don't blame them for being doubtful, to be honest with you. And I would have to say that the biggest thing I had to overcome was myself. I didn't have a ton of people talking down or saying much. But it was me. I was bullying me.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think you're doing, Carissa? This is crazy.
Yeah. And we do tell
So,
ourselves that, right? We're like, this is crazy. This isn't what I'm supposed to do. This isn't what life
right.
is. You know, I'm supposed to go to college. I'm supposed to get a job. I'm supposed to work that job forever.
Yeah,
But more and more now, you know,
it's
a lot of
true.
people are used to me talking about Gen X versus millennials, and you're a millennial. And
I am.
I love that millennials are expected to have 35 different jobs by the time they retire. I think that is like,
That's
okay,
wild.
cool. Yeah, like we are going to go out and because I'm somebody who I say, if you don't love what you're doing, get the hell out of it and go somewhere else. And
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's scary and that's not what we're supposed to do, but you have to be happy in life. And money,
Hmm.
sorry, it doesn't make you happy. Money makes things easier. Money makes
Yeah.
things a lot easier, but it certainly doesn't make you happy. And when we follow our dreams and we do what we love, and that's what the millennials are known for, is going, no, this
Mm,
doesn't make me happy and I want something that makes me happy. So I'm not going to do that. Even though you're telling me to, I'm not going to because I want to do this. And I think
mhm.
that's okay. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's okay to do that and it's exciting. I mean, look where you are.
Mhm.
Look at the
It's
personal
amazing.
growth that you have accomplished. And
Oh, yeah.
you were telling me that in the last couple of years you've done a lot of, you know, personal development. since starting your business?
Mhm.
How has that worked out for you?
Wow, it's hard to even summarize. I mean, I was organizing one morning and I just had this thought like my business is like a boot camp for personal growth. I literally thought I didn't start this business to help other people. I started this business to grow. And that's exactly what's happened, right? I love helping people, but you can't really help other people and not be changed. And in my business in particular, I love it because it's such a personal, intimate service. I show up to a stranger's house to see their mess.
Mhm.
They're having lots of feelings. I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed. I they're talking down to themselves and in their head like and I show up and I'm like, "Oh, cool. We could take care of this. No problem." And I try to be encouraging and that's one of the reasons I call myself Grace to Organize. I want people to know I'm not there to judge you. I'm bringing grace to your home and that is my only intention.
Right.
So anyway, that's how this starts and from there I'm working side by side with them going through their stuff, sometimes stuff they haven't seen in 30 years. They don't know what's in that box. And here's this stranger, this person they're trusting to help them go through it. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's not. But man, you cannot walk away from those experiences and not be changed.
Mhm.
I've grown so much learning from other people and their stories. I've helped people I helped a man who lost his wife of 45 years. And he didn't want to expect his kids to help him go through his wife's belongings. So he hired somebody to come in and help him do that. I never thought in my whole life I would do that.
Right.
I helped another woman who lost her daughter, and we had to go through her daughter's things. Like, whoa. I mean, I learned how to be more patient, more sensitive, more understanding, more empathetic, all of these things. And I'm still growing in that for sure. And I don't doubt that for the rest of my life, those are things I will be growing in.
Mhm.
And man, I've just learned and grown so much just by, you can't really be around people and not learn about something.
Right. And I think the fact that you're so happy and loving what you're doing, that allows you to be open to that
Mm,
growth and to say, oh, look, this is something that I can learn from this person. Because when we're unhappy, we tend to be closed off, we put up walls.
wow.
And the fact that you are just, you're just open. You're open to receiving, because you're so graceful in giving.
Mm, wow.
And
Thank you.
wouldn't that be wouldn't that be amazing if we did that, as a world, if we could
Yeah.
kind of go back to that place where, it takes a village. We know that it takes a village. And if
Yeah.
we were back there where everybody was doing what they are really good at and contributing in that manner to the whole,
Yeah.
it would be it would be so good. It'd be
Yes.
so good. That just I have chills because that's, to me, that's a utopia. That's a beautiful, wonderful world. Um,
Yeah.
how do you? I'm sure that you see changes in people as you start to organize their space. I
Mm,
always say that a cluttered space is a cluttered mind.
mhm,
And I know that when my own space starts getting cluttered, I need to really step back and look at myself and say, what's going on with
mhm,
me in here, in my body, in my mind, that
mm,
I need stuff around me.
mhm,
So, what kind of changes do you see in people as you're working with them and helping to organize and clean out a space?
mm. Well, I usually work with people in small blocks of time. So usually about 3 hours is as much as they can handle at a time.
Hmm.
So I will come once a week, once a month, whatever their schedule or their budget allows. And so it's really cool because it's a long term relationship, right? Some of the jobs we get done in a day or two, cool. But usually, if somebody has one cluttered space in their house, they have many. And so it's like, I'm going to hire you for this. But if all goes well, we've got the whole house to handle, right?
Right.
So it becomes this trusting long-term relationship. And I see people relieved. I see people excited. So I offer free consultations, and there's many reasons I do that. But one is because people need to get to know me and be like, okay, I like am cool with her being in my stuff, right? And so almost 90% of the consultations, they're nervous, they're ashamed, embarrassed. They don't know what to expect. They're kind of like uneasy. Usually by the end of the consultation, they're like, okay, I feel pretty good about this lady. So, but they still don't know what to expect in the actual sessions, right? So then I
Mm-hmm.
come back another time, and that's when we're actually going to declutter and organize. And even in the beginning, they're like, I don't know why they get so nervous. They do, um, but usually by the end of the first session, I already see a change in them. They feel relieved, they feel accomplished, they feel motivated. There's a lot of times that either after the first consultation or the first session, they start doing stuff on their own.
Right.
I show up the next time and they're like, oh, let me show you what I did. And I'm like, okay, and it is so cool to get somebody rolling on that path. Because here's the thing, people call me when they're overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. So they procrastinate. They
Mm-hmm.
have something, they have an area that bothers them. They're like, oh, I need to take care of that, but they don't know how to. And they just keep trying to ignore it till they get to the point where they're like, I need somebody. So they find me, right? Um, but then when we actually take care of that area, they're like, oh my gosh, that was something I've been putting off for how long? One woman I helped, her entire basement was full of boxes of 30 years worth of clutter. So what they would do is every time somebody was going to come over, they would clean off the kitchen table and the kitchen counters, put it in a box and put it in the basement, assuming,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we'll come pull it up and take care of it. They
Right.
didn't.
Been there, done that.
This went on for 30 years, and she's like, guess I should take care of this, right?
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah, and you're like, I don't know. It's just, I think relief is the only word I can think of. Like, they
I
just
just
feel so
imagine like
relieved.
walking around like this, knowing that I have all of that in my house, and then just being
Mhm.
able to, as it dissipates, the shoulders coming down a little bit,
Yeah.
and just feeling a true difference in the way my body feels,
Mhm.
the way my head feels, just being able to breathe easier.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, here's what I tell people. Organizing is this basic principle. It's knowing what you own, why you own it, where to find it. That's it. The purpose of having things is to be able to use them when we need them. And people are so frustrated. It's like, I know I own this leopard print notebook I bought. Where is it? It's frustrating when you can't find what you own. So once we start going through their stuff and they actually know what they own, it's such a peace of mind to be like, I know where to find the flashlight when I need it. I know
Yes.
where to find XYZ. And that is super cool to me that I get to be part of that.
Yeah, that is, it is. I love, I mean, the word relief is, I would think that people feel they may not actually have more time, but I bet they feel like they have more time. I know for me personally, over the last couple of years, I went from a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home down to 2, and even going down from 2 when we moved, I even went through even more stuff and said, you know what, we moved here a year ago and I haven't really been using this, so I
Mhm.
don't need it.
Yeah.
The sentimental value, whatever, starting to get that understanding of this does not give me worth.
That's
This
good.
thing right here, this, whatever, okay, this is something that I do need. This crochet hook right here, as I crochet to fix my dreads. This crochet hook is something that I haven't used, I haven't seen in 6 months.
Mm.
What worth does that give me?
Yeah.
None. Zero.
Yeah. It's true.
And if, okay, my great grandmother, this was my great grandmother's crochet hook, whatever, it's not. But if it were, and it were something that I decided to keep, why do I have it thrown in some box somewhere where I don't know where it is,
Mm-hmm.
rather than
So
have it
true.
in a place of honor?
Yep.
And I can see that process. Um, I'm sure those are some of the things that you say to people as you're going
Oh
through it.
yeah.
And I think, what are the most important things people need to remember as they're trying to organize a space?
Mm. Well, yeah, to go back to my theory about what organizing is, knowing what you own, why you own it, and where to find it. If it doesn't serve a purpose and you don't have somewhere to store it, those are really important things to consider, because here's the other thing that I know about myself. I go through everything I own probably every 6 months to a year. And there may be something that I liked 6 months ago that had sentimental value or whatever value. But now 6 months later, I'm like, I don't need it anymore. Like, we are constantly changing. Our lifestyles change, our priorities change. If we are personally growing, then our stuff should be growing with us.
Oh, you say some of the coolest stuff. I
Thank
love
you.
that.
I've never
Ah,
said that before. It just came out. So I'm
it's
glad you like it.
beautiful.
Thank you. But it's like, here's where people get stuck, is they don't take the time to consider the stuff that they own and if it's serving a purpose or has value to them anymore. And so it just accumulates. And it gets to the point where they realize, I have too much stuff, but 30 years ago this meant something to me and I have not seen it for 30 years. Here's the thing. If you pick that thing up every 6 months to a year and consider what it means to you, at some point in that 30 years, you're going to be able to get rid of it, most likely.
Right.
But if you wait 30 years to stop and consider its value, in your mind, you think it has more value because you've held on to it for 30 years.
Right.
But
That's
if you
so true.
actually thought about it, it doesn't serve its purpose anymore. And people do this with gifts, and this is something I've been guilty of too, and I just want to point it out. But I read this quote, and I can only paraphrase it because I can't find it again. But it was something like, the value of a gift is in the moment that you receive it.
Absolutely.
And I think of that with cards. Like, somebody gives you a card, you read it, it's sweet, it means something. And then what happens? A lot of people keep it for a really long time, but the value of it was in that moment when you read it and you were with that person and you saw their smile, and maybe it made you cry. Like, I'm not saying don't keep any cards. I keep some cards, especially if they have long handwritten notes in them.
Mhm.
But I don't know, people have this obligation to keep on to things and they don't know why they feel obligated. And if
Right.
you consider that a gift is only a gift if you're using it, if it's only serving a purpose, it's okay to get rid of it. You're not getting rid of that relationship. You're not getting rid of the love and the care that you have with that person. If you don't keep something they gave you, you're not obligated to that. And I even ask people, like, well, if they're your true friend, do you think they're going to be mad if you don't keep something they gave you 6 years ago? If
Right.
they are mad, I'm sorry, but that's probably not a good friendship,
Right.
because your friendship is more than this thing I gave you.
Right. And
The
if it's
thing I gave
holding you
you is a
back,
reflection. That's a
if
good
it's
point.
holding you back, it's no longer a gift.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
And,
See,
I had to recognize that when I went through, my stepmother died, and, this is like 20 years ago now. It's hard to
mm,
believe that it was that it's been almost that long. But when she died, and my dad was keeping all of the stuff, and we're going through everything, and then he's like, well, my younger brother and sister, well, they're going to want that, and they're going to, no, they're not. That's
mm,
just, it's stuff to hold on to that holds you back,
Mm.
keeps you from moving forward. Anything
Mhm.
that's keeping you from moving forward is
Mhm.
no longer a gift.
Mhm.
It's no longer special. It's lost its value
Mhm.
in the fact that you, as a human being, a living thing, are not able to go forward.
Mhm.
And that's why you are so special and so needed in this world, because you can help people see their worth. Yes, you're helping them work with things, but ultimately what you're doing is you're helping them see their own value as a human being.
Mm.
That's the true gift.
Mm.
And I'm so, so, so glad that you are no longer hoarding that gift of yours.
Thank you. Me too, because you know what? It's a gift to share your gift.
It
And
is.
I am blessed to be able to get paid to do what I love and to help people. I honestly believe that this is the job that I will have for the rest of my life. There will not be a day that I'm on this planet that I am not an organizer.
Right.
That is just the gift I have to walk in. And I really encourage and challenge people to think about, what are they good at? Not just to make money. I mean, that's great. But like, what do you have that you can offer people that will help them? And the cool thing about organizing is, the way I see it is, I'm helping people behind the scenes so they can do what they're called to do. If they're disorganized, they're not going to be their best as a mom or a teacher or whatever it is that they want to be doing. So I'm trying to help people uncover their purpose. Like, what are you meant to be doing that you can't be doing because you're disorganized or frustrated or cluttered? I get to be an organizer. What do you get to be? What are you good at?
Right.
And I challenge people to think about that and encourage them to start putting themselves out there. Hey, I'm good at this. Do
Yeah.
you need me?
Yeah, and it's okay to say, "Hey guys, I'm good at this."
Yep,
It's
it is.
okay to say that, because there's somebody out there who needs that, because
Yep.
they're not good at it. And we
Mhm.
can't be good at all things. We just can't.
No.
And that's okay.
Yep.
That's why we all have our special gifts, and in sharing those gifts, we truly do make this world a better place.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. So we're going to wrap this up, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here, Charissa.
Thank you. I had a great time.
It was great.